Bloopers, it's Floz. Welcome back to another Flosstube video. Today is 1st of Jan in Melbourne, Australia. It's the first day of the new year 2022, so I thought I'd start the new year with a video looking fancy just to celebrate it. We haven't taken down the Christmas tree yet. Probably will do it soon, but it's looking quite pretty in the background. Now today we are going to talk about what I've been up to in December 2021. If you're interested in watching, all that good stuff, then keep watching. Before we get into the video, I just want to give you a friendly reminder. This is an eclectic channel. Both myself and my husband own this channel. I mainly do cross-stitch related contents, and JP does wargaming videos, battle reports, talking about his army, the little figurines he collects, and together we tend to do hobby with us, talking about life, pets, whatever. We normally just show you what we like to do separately and together. So if that sounds pretty cool to you and you don't mind a bit of random contents popping up on your feed, make sure to subscribe to our channel and like our videos and tell us what you want to see, and maybe we can try something different as well. Now, I normally start my monthly update videos with haul/acquisitions, so I'll do that in this video also. Let's do haul first, I guess. If you remember from my last video, I had 95 cents in my monthly hobby budget from November. So with the December $50 monthly budget, I had $50.95. Well, originally I didn't really plan to buy anything, but the store that I tend to buy supplies from actually had, I guess, excess stock in these felt calendars, and apparently they were taking too much space in the little shop that she had at the back of their house. So she decided to give everyone like this Christmas present. She said she would sell them for free, just pay shipping. And I thought, well, I've never tried one of those like, I guess, embellishment felt calendar before. So I would grab one and maybe grab one more as like a present for my mother-in-law so she could try one too. And since I was gonna pay shipping anyways, so I decided to kit up an artsy chart that I'm planning to start in 2022. Now, I will show you the threads I got. So this is the color scheme. I didn't have to buy all the threads ever. This is Artsy Spring Will Come, and it's my only artsy chart for now. So I'm definitely planning to start it 2022. That's why I kitted up. I think I bought 59 skeins here. The chart asked for 72 colors, I think. So I did have a few colors in my stash already. And this is one of the felt calendars I got. This is the lavender one. And the other one was actually a lighthouse. So what we ended up doing was we wrapped both of them as a present for my mother-in-law and told her to choose one, and she chose the lighthouse. So I ended up with the lavender one, which was what I preferred anyways. So the calendar itself is felt, and it had the dowel to hang it with, and also the sequences and some bees, I think, if you can see at all. And it's also included like the threads that you might need to sew all these things with, and also a needle, wherever it is. Yeah, so because it's for 2022, a lot of people have already finished this, and they provided some feedback in the chat group on Facebook. They actually said this kit in particular didn't provide enough sequences, so they didn't end up, I guess, filling in all the little sequence spots. So I'm hoping I've got enough, but I don't think it matters. So altogether, these things cost $63.15. So that's 2 felt calendars for free and 59 skeins of threads. So I tend to buy from JK's Cross Stitch Supplies, and they sell the DMC threads for 80 cents each skein, and that's the price always. I think it used to be in 75 cents, but then, you know, inflation and stuff, everything just gets more expensive, so now it's 80 cents. Still very cheap. Okay, oh, I didn't mention the fabric was actually purchased a long time ago already, and it was one of those, like, not odd sizes, but somehow it just worked for this project. And I will be stitching that one in, in 16 count Ada. Yep. And then, in terms of Christmas present, I told my in-laws not to get me anything cross-stitch related because they don't really know what I like, and I don't want them to waste their energy and money on something I will not end up keeping anyways. But I got this little surprise from my mother-in-law. It is a scissor key. I've never had little kits like this, so I'm quite excited to have it. I guess once it's done, instead of having this like tassel thing, I could just put this on. Hopefully it's not too difficult to finish, because I assume you need to stitch the front and the back and sew them together to make that little key thing. Yeah, hopefully the instruction is comprehensive enough, because I don't know anything about finishing. So that's it. And I actually bought a few more things. So I saw this ad on Facebook Marketplace. It was actually for 2 kits. One was from Dimensions Gold Collection. It's called Magnificent Wizard. It is a pretty rare kit. You can easily find it on eBay still, but they tend to be quite pricey, or too much money than what I would be willing to pay anyways. It's already started, but it was like a very small portion, so I didn't really mind. The other kit is a Season for Everything. Apparently it is a pre-printed kit, and I've never done anything like that. But mainly I bought them because of the Magnificent Wizard. Now I think that one would be on 18 count Black Ada. So yeah, I'm quite excited to have it. So I bought the 2 kits for $10 each. So it's $20 for 2 kits. And she said she would include like another kit in there, which I don't know. So it's like a mystery to me. And then it's $10 on top for postage. Because it's on Marketplace, I was a bit like worried about scam and stuff. So you pay and you don't receive your goods. So I ended up asking to pay on PayPal, and I offered to cover the seller's fee. So I ended up paying $32, which I thought was really good anyways. Now, if you add everything up, $50.95 minus whatever I paid, I would be $44.20 in debt at the end of December. Now it's Jan already, so I've already received my hobby budget for Jan, and because 2021 was tough already and we got through that sort of unscathed, and also I have been sticking to my $50 monthly hobby budget pretty well the whole, I guess, more than a year now. I decided to reward myself with $100 this month. So with that, for Jan, I would have $55.80 left. And I'm hoping to save it up and maybe kit up some more things that I want to start. But for now, I'm pretty good. I don't really need anything new. And if you've watched my previous 2 videos where I've gone through my collections from, you know, before hobby budget to 1 year of hobby budget, you would have known that I've purchased enough and they would last me for a long time. So for now, I'll just, I guess, save up my money and see whether there are any rare kits or suddenly something pops up, or I'll just save up to kit up stuff for later. So that's all the acquisitions. It's not very exciting. Now we'll do, I guess I'll show you my progress. So I have 4 whips, and I've been having 4 whips for quite a few months now. Normally I'll get to all of them each month. Yeah, I haven't abandoned anything ever, really. So I always work on all my whips every month. So I have a Dimensions Gold collection called Victorian Elegance. Victorian Elegance, yes. Also a Teresa Wensler wedding sampler. That's a gift for my friend's wedding this year. Also I've got Neuro Stem Cell Electron Microscope. That's an Etsy chart, and that's a present for my husband JP. And also the Countryside, that's a kit I purchased from Amazon. It's a Chinese kit that for now I don't think is any copyright breached item. So 4 whips, although because I've had 4 whips for a long time and I was hoping I could finish something by the end of 2021. So halfway in December, I was getting a bit annoyed. Then I ended up starting a little something and finished it. So I'll show you that one first. Now I have received this from Secret Santa 2021. It is one of those like little beginner bookmark kits. It's a very silly, it's like a little robot saying beep boop beep. And I ended up finishing it with mistakes, of course. And I've actually showcased it in my previous video. So what ended up happening was I made a mistake here. So I actually stitched 1 row less, but by the time when I realized it, I was finishing up the body already and I didn't really want to take it out. I didn't really think it's a big thing, so I just left it like that. And with the dark gray, they only give you like 1 length, so 6 strands. So after I finished everything else, I didn't have enough dark gray to do the ears, so I ended up using the green to do the ears. Well, you can have different colors in a robot, right? So I don't think it matters. finished this one. And this is actually like the top and bottom of this Aida band, and I ended up just folding it over. I don't know what I'm gonna do in terms of finishing it. And I probably don't need to give it a wash just in case it does, like the threads in the kit do bleed. So I might have to YouTube to see how I can finish the top and bottom, whether I need to do like a blanket stitch or something. I don't know how to do that yet. And I'll tell you how long I was working on this for. So this one I worked for 11 hours and it was 4.5 days, including a full weekend. So that included a Saturday and Sunday. To be honest, when I first saw the kit, I thought I could finish it in 2 days. Turns out either I just always underestimate how long a project would take, or I'm just really slow. So yeah. Oh, and also the 11 hours / 4.5 days was consecutive, so I ended up just doing it in one go. So at least I had another finish in 2021. Oh, I probably should have did a comparison so you know I did it slightly different. There you go. So that's that. Then I'll show you the gold collection Victorian Elegance. So that's the preview. It's stitched on 28 count even weave 3/2, and it's got the ribbon embroidery for the hats as well. I finished, I guess, all the back stitch and normal cross stitch in the clothes and pearls. I still had like beading to do, but that should be at the end. So now I'm just working on face / hat, mostly the hat. Now this month I didn't feel like working on this fancy lady, really. I'll show you the progress. Well, there's actually not much progress. I'll remove that. So that's what it looks like. I think I might have just finished off some of the stitches here, like the light green, and also filled in a couple gaps with like the light brown. So that's the whole thing. Yeah, I might do the comparison here. Yeah, I just didn't feel like working on this at all. I was kind of dreading going back to this one, so I ended up just maybe working on it for like a couple days and decided to change after all. I think it's just, I feel like I've spent so much time on this, but it's still not done. And also, I guess I was scared to do the ribbon embroidery, so I was probably just delaying getting to that point. That's why I didn't feel like working on this one at all. Well, it's not a bad thing to just leave it for a bit until I feel like it. I'll put it here. So with the Victorian Elegance, I stitched it for 2 days, including a half day before work, but that was a decent session, and I think a little bit more than an hour. So altogether I stitched on it for 2 hours and 35 minutes. So really not that much, maybe like 2 skeins or like 2 lengths. or something like that. And then I'll show you the wedding sampler. So that's my first Teresa Wensler pattern. I got it from Aussie Cross Stitch Stash Unload. I'm stitching this complete version. Yeah, so like what I said before, it will be a wedding present for my best friend this year, and she's getting married in October, so I still have enough time, I hope. I'm stitching it on 32 count Platinum Belfast, the fabric that the pattern calls for. And the pattern also calls for Anchor Marlet, but after much pondering, I decided to just go with the DMC satin threads. Not quite the same color, but I think it's fine. So that is my progress. How do I do this? Like this. So if I remember correctly, I might have filled in more on the middle flower bit and did more on the column. Yeah, so I didn't stitch that much. So I'll probably do a side-by-side comparison. Still, blends galore, confetti galore, a lot of ninja stitches where it's just one stitch by itself and there are like no surrounding stitches, so you have to start and end the thread in one stitch, and it's quite time consuming. Lucky I've left myself enough time to finish it. I think I'm like, this is probably halfway of the whole thing, I'm hoping. I don't know. I think this is the halfway. And this band is completely done. This horizontal one with the back stitching. I haven't done the back stitch for that arch yet. But yeah, at least this leafy green horizontal column is done. That's it. So this one I have done 2 full days, and both days were weekends, and altogether 6 hours. 2 full days. That's pretty good, I reckon. 6 hours. Yeah, I think a lot of the 6 hours was on like just random colors in the floral bit, and then eventually I got sick of it. I decided to work on the column where it was just one color and you had to count a bit, and that was a lot more relaxing, and it seemed like there was a lot more progress even though it's just one color all the way down. So that's this one. That's done, and then I'll show you the countryside. So that's the preview. It is a very autumnal project. Yeah, it's a kit I got from Amazon. Pretty cheap. This is a very big project as well. Maybe 350 by 262, and it's stitched on 14 count Aida. I've been stitching this one for like more than a year now, and I don't know, I'm probably not even 20% yet. I'm not sure. I will show you. So that's what I'm up to. I think I stitched more here and here. So I used to try to do page finish, but because this quantum frame could only give me this much area to work with, it's not quite one page, like comfortable one page. So I decided to just work horizontal, wherever, stop wherever, just finish like this direction and then go down, and I can just roll the bars to make myself more comfortable, even though I don't get the satisfaction of finishing pages. Oh, there you go. How do I do? Maybe I'll do top bottom comparison. Let's see. So at one point I was dreading going back to this one too, because I feel like, yeah, I've been stitching on this for more than a year, but I also don't know whether what I experienced was a normal full coverage experience, because sometimes the stitch can be really boring. So I felt like I might have wasted like a year on something not worthy. So then eventually I forced myself to go back to it, but the moment I started stitching, I just couldn't stop. So I stitched for a few days and I had to force myself to stop stitching, because I needed to work on something else and hopefully could finish it like soonish. So yeah, it was actually quite enjoyable. The only thing is I'm probably hitting like a boring bit where it was just blank space with random branches. So the progress was fast-ish, but yeah, the colors are quite boring. I'll just give you a bit of a detailed view again. Sorry for the messy parked threads. I don't know how to park very neatly. I just do whatever suits me, really. Yeah, the tree looks quite nice from afar. And this kit actually also included like back stitching, but I'm not sure whether I want to do back stitching yet. And because of the back stitch, sometimes the lines cover the actual symbols, so it's hard to read the charts. Yeah, well, when that happens, I had to use my imagination to figure out maybe this symbol is this. Okay, so with the countryside, I stitched on it 3 weekdays and altogether 6 hours and 10 minutes. And that was, I think that was pretty good progress for like 6 hours. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Then, I'll show you neuro stem cells electron microscope by penumbra charts. So that's the preview. It is a very colorful / boring chart depending on where you look. I think it's one of those charts that a lot of people don't really care about because it's nothing cute, it's more scientific. If it's related to your work or your life, you'll get quite excited about it. If not, you just like, oh, whatever, I don't really care. JP's quite excited about it, so that's what matters. It's a gift for him. Now, this is my progress. I think I've made okay progress. At one point, I was getting quite discouraged as well because I've been working on it for a while and it is a restart also. I was working on it on 18 count black Aida with 2 strands, and it was giving me hell. So around halfway mark I decided to just change the fabric. So now this is on 25 count easy guide. The border, or like the black space, was stitched with 2 strands of black, whereas the normal colors were like 1/1. So yeah, I have finished, so 7 out of 9 pages now. It's just these 2 pages at the bottom left. So there you go. And I might do a comparison picture there so you can see. Now I'm really just filling colors in for this page. This page doesn't have that much left. It's just like random colors I had to, you know, complete. Because I'm just using a simple PDF reader and doesn't track different symbols. It's just, you know, you can just mark each little grid off. And sometimes when I eyeball it, I might miss one color here, one color there. And then when I'm trying to page complete, I have to go back and do like 1 stitch for that particular color. And it's very annoying and time consuming, but it's gotta be done. So yeah, I am quite confident that Jan should be the month when I finish this one. It will be very exciting. Then I can try to figure out how to get rid of, like wash it and get rid of the grid lines. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Lots of mistakes, but you can't tell because it's supposed to be colorful anyways. So yeah. Now I made a lot of progress because I did work on it a lot this month. So I altogether worked on it for 15 days and it was 29 hours altogether. So for my previous monthly updates, I actually gave you like this random or like fun stitch numbers as a summary before I told you the individual working times, but this time I decided to do it later. So you would have seen my progress and what I was working on before all these like weird numbers. Okay, so that's all my progress, but I'll tell you overall like how many hours I've been stitching and stuff. So for the whole month of December, I had 5 days of no stitching. In the 5 days, there were 3 Mondays and 2 Thursdays. So I'm not working an office job. I am a pharmacist in a, I guess, industry setting. If you are some kind of like service providing place, normally whenever there's public holiday, you are busy as hell. So Christmas is one of those like big ones when we get really busy. So I did a lot of overtime. Oh, there's Amy. You can't see, but Amy is walking. Yep. Yep, there. Uh-huh. And if you're wondering, that collar is to keep her cool. You soak it in water and hopefully that will, yeah, keep the hotness at bay. Yeah, so normally we get really busy on Mondays and Thursdays as well because the Christmas, I think holidays tend to be like, you know, Saturday, Sunday this in December. So then the big dispatch day would be Thursday. So we ended up like staying back a lot of the Mondays and Thursdays. That's why there were no stitching at all. And the shortest day that I had was 20 minutes of stitching time, and that was before work, and I was working on the bookmark. And then the longest day that I had was 6 hours of stitching day, and it was actually on Christmas Day, 25th of December. It's because so I ended up having a bit of a scratchy / sore throat on 23rd of December. So, or actually 22nd. Yes, the afternoon. So throughout the shift, I was just getting worse and worse. So I decided to get up early on 23rd to do a test, and it was a long queue. So I got my test. I was hoping to get my result in like 24 hours, but it didn't happen. So I guess long story short, on 25th, I still didn't get my result. So we called off the Christmas lunch, and I ended up having a lot of time stitching. So it was a very interesting Christmas, and we would probably do a hobby with us just to talk to you in details exactly what happened and what we did and what we cooked and all that stuff. But yeah, that's why my longest stitching time ended up being on Christmas Day, when most people are really busy and having a lot of family time. And that was spent stitching on neural stem cells. So altogether, I had 55 hours of stitching time in December. It was probably the shortest duration since I started telling you all these fun numbers. The reason being, yeah, many days without stitching time, and also a lot of office workers would have had the whole Christmas period off, whereas I only had like one extra day, I guess. Yeah, one extra day. So 23rd I spent at home, waiting for results, so I couldn't go back to work. And 24th, I was still waiting for results, couldn't go back to work, but they needed me to work from home, so I ended up working the whole shift from home from 2 to 10. And 25th, the day off, 26th, the day off, which is normal, Saturday, Sunday, and 27th, I had the extra Monday off, and 28th, which was Boxing Day reserved, so the actual public holiday, but I ended up going back to work the full shift anyways. So that's why I didn't end up stitching that much, even though technically a lot of people might have got more time if you didn't have to spend it with family, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that I didn't get as much time stitching compared to the previous few months. So that's it for what I've done in December. Now, in terms of plans, I actually touched up on it last monthly update. I will be starting on a few things. Not sure whether I will start it straight away, like in Jan, but there's gonna be this one, the napping kitten, and once I started, I will contact Bernadette from Burn Stitches, since she's got it and she started it as well, and she said she would like to stitch together. That'd be great. I've never stitched anything with anyone, so I'm quite excited to start on this one. And also the Design Works Coffee Break, I think it's called. Yes, Coffee Break. But before I start this, I need to wash a few threads because they've given you the warning that some colors might run. So yeah, I need to wash a few things before I can start it fully. I think this is almost full coverage, but yeah, there's a lot of half stitches, so hopefully it's fast. And this one, it's just nice because I could just finish one completely, and I would feel like I've accomplished something. And then I would also start on the Artisy chart Spring Will Come. yeah, probably not Jan though. I feel like I need to finish something major before I start it, but who knows? Maybe I'm just really excited to start on another full coverage to give me a completely different experience than the countryside. And also, Jan, I should have a lot more time off because I've got my operation laparoscopy coming up, and that should give me 1.5 recovery time, 1.5 weeks of recovery time, and hopefully I won't feel too bad, so I can still stitch and make videos and talk to you guys. Originally the operation was on 7th, but then it got postponed because the assistant surgeon couldn't make it, so now it's 12th. And next week I might have to call the hospital just to check, I guess, the procedures regarding me doing a COVID PCR test before getting in. I also had to pay a couple gap fees, which was a nuisance. So yeah, I'm nervous, but I also want to just get it over with because I don't know whether it's in my head or it's actually happening, but I feel like I could feel more pain and discomfort these few months now. So maybe the cyst is growing. So I think I will be glad to get rid of it. And yeah, just wish me luck. I hope everything goes smoothly and I can recover quick. And before that happens, I have more public holiday shifts, and after that I have a lot more public holiday shifts too. So there's not that much holiday time for me. And also JP's got a like Canberra Kings of War tournament where he would have to go away for a few days. He's very excited about it, and I think that weekend I would be still recovering so I can look after Amy and look after myself. What else? So yeah, in the next month we want to do a hobby with us video. I might even do a stitch with me video, I don't know. And yeah, we've got a few things planned and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and maybe tell me in the comment section like how your Christmas was and whether you've celebrated New Year and what you plan to work on in Jan, because a lot of people do New Year, New Starts. And then just tell me whatever you want to tell me. Just give me something in the comment section. I love receiving comments. And also, if you're interested, we do have an Instagram account. It is not readily updated, but once in a while I'll suddenly feel like showing you something. So I'll put the handle here and I'll just see you when I see you. Bye!
I'm gonna show you my whips. I have many whips to whip JB with. Barbed whip. 3 tails.
3 tails, what's that?
And it's 3 ends. 3 whips in one. What are you showing them today?
My beauty.
Yeah. Milkshakes?
在说我 milkshakes？哎呀，看到啦！